And the bell's lovely, mister.
What'd you say?
And the bell's lovely, mister.
I can't hear a word you're saying with them bells. That's the best of Patrick's Park. You always get plenty of friends. Will you look at all my friends sitting around? How are you all going on?
Great! How are yourselves?
Not bad at all. Are you all from the Liberties?
Yes! Up the Liberties.
Up the Liberties. Well, I suppose you just want to see the rest of the Liberties. So I suppose I better get up and show you, although it's very nice sitting here in the sun with all the little chiselers of the Liberties. Goodbye now. It's not every day I'm escorted out of Patrick's Park by a guard of honour on roller skates. But sure, I know all these children and know their fathers and mothers as well. But the Liberties is a great community of people. It's the sort of a place where sorrow in one house is sorrow in every house. And joy in one house is joy in every house. Everyone knows each other. And you'd be fed up saying hello and good morning and good evening to everyone as you pass through the streets. Margaret Aylward's Holy Faith Convent, which she founded here in the Coombe around 1864. Margaret went on to found many convents, but this was the last one that was opened in Dublin in her lifetime. She died at Glasnevin at the Mother House on the 11th of October 1889. J.C. Parks are nearly as old as the Coombe itself. In 1845, William Parks advertised, "We're token makers, we're medal makers, we're dice sinkers, we're button makers, we're engineers, we're brass founders, and we're coffin furniture manufacturers." Jemmy Hope's shop, the Temple Patrick weaver who came to Dublin and had a shop here in the Liberties of Dublin. On his tombstone are the words, "One of nature's noblest works, an honest man." Jemmy was the lover of Ireland and the lover of Ireland's poor. This is the site of the old Weavers' Hall. It's a pity they didn't keep that old building. They could have turned it into a Weavers' Museum. St. Nicholas Without and St. Luke's was consecrated on the 7th of October 1716 and unfortunately closed its doors on the 19th of September 1975. Inside the church is a beautiful memorial to the Huguenots. Newmarket and the Red Line Inn. Bang Bang, Lord Dudley's favourite public house. The Newmarket was a market at one time for the selling of vegetables. There was also a police station in Newmarket. And of course it was also the place where that unfortunate girl, Honor Bright, who was murdered in the Dublin mountains, lived in Dublin. I'm walking along with the gutter at Chambers Street, and today it's rainwater. But on the 18th of June, 1875, it was whiskey coming from the blazing warehouse of Larry Malone. And when the fire brigade came, they couldn't put water on the blazing whiskey, and the whiskey rolled out down along the gutter here. And the poor people of Dublin got down and drank it. And 13 of them died from drinking the poisoned whiskey coming down through the gutter in Chambers Street. Larry Malone's warehouse was burned out, and so was a portion of Cork Street and Brickfield Lane, and of course Chambers Street and RD Street. The fire brigade dug trenches across the road to stop the fire from spreading any further down through the city. Isn't it terrible the way they're letting the inner city of Dublin fall into rack and ruin? And I suppose the speculators come along then and put up their office blocks instead of putting up nice little cottages and houses for the people of the liberties. This was the Tenthers' Fields. It was here the Huguenot weavers came and gave their names to Weaver Square and Cow Parlour, which was really Coupalure, and a corruption into Cow Parlour. But they lived in their little houses mainly around Chambers Street, Nardee Street and Weaver Square, and came out into the open fields here to do their weaving. Now, when they were weaving, the cloth needed a certain amount of wetting with soils, and then it needed a certain amount of drying. So in the wet weather, the weavers, of course, were washed out and couldn't dry out their cloth. Today, I notice bees making honey, where weavers wove poplins and silks and satins and what have you. The last weaver of the liberties was a man by the name of Padraig Bratnock, who worked in Elliott's before it closed down. I'm in the grounds of the Sisters of Mercy in Cork Street. The building behind me is the old Stove Tenter house, founded and financed by Thomas Pleasance. The weavers had petitioned the Lord Mayor in Derlamead for a place to dry their cloth, but no one did anything about it. And Thomas Pleasance came up with a plan, and not only with a plan, but with the money to put the plan into action. And his plan was the building of the Stove Tenter house, where the weavers could come in from the Tenter fields and dry their cloth. There were 4 stoves in the basement, and you can still see the markings on the wall today where the iron bars went through, holding the cloth tight and letting the heat come up through a grill type of grid flooring. Thomas Pleasance was a Carlow man. Came to Dublin, was educated at Trinity College, was left quite a bit of wealth by his father and became the director of many companies. In his lifetime, he gave over £100,000 away to charity. He founded the Pleasance Asylum in Camden Street, and of course Pleasant Street there is called after him. But the foundation stone here was laid in 1814. The cost of the building £13,000, and Pleasance's orders, Irish materials and Irish craftsmanship, and above all, make the building fireproof. And there it is standing today. It was going very strong in the 1800s, 20s, 30s for the weavers. It was 3 fardens to dry 1 piece of cloth and 3 halfpence to dry a big lot. But the tariffs put on by England, and of course the famine, and of course when machinery came in and did away with the hand looms, the Stove Tenter house fell into disuse. Now, it was idle for a while, and for 2 years it was a branch of the South Dublin Union in James's Street. And then in 1861, Father John Spratt, the Carmelite priest who was born in Cork Street, took over this building as a refuge for women and children. And he ran it by himself for about 9 years. But due to all the other duties he had, he then went to the Sisters of Mercy in Baggot Street, and he asked them would they send over a couple of nuns to run this place. And 2 nuns came in the Christmas of 1870, 1871. 2 nuns came from Baggot Street and actually slept here at this end of the building. And later, a community of nuns grew up around this place, and they built their convent and their schools. And an interesting thing about the Sisters of Mercy, they were founded by Catherine Macaulay, and she founded the convent in Bagot Street because that was the well-to-do neighbourhood of the city. And poor Catherine thought that the well-to-do neighbours would look after the poor. But sure, we know in Dublin that it's the poor that keep the poor. And the Sisters of Mercy, by stealth and by silent means, go around doing their works of charity day in and day out. The home here is still a home for women. The Fever Hospital and House of Recovery, Cork Street, is today an old man's home. It was opened on the 14th of May 1804 and down its checkered history handled thousands of cases of fever. Remember when I was a child and diphtheria broke out in Dublin and the red blanket going in and out the houses carrying the little children off in the ambulances, and that night the anxious parents looking up the evening papers to see the number of their child and how it was progressing, because there was no visitors to Cork Street Fever Hospital. But today the old people, they're allowed visitors. Do you ever think of taking a few books off your shelf or going into a shop and buying a couple of magazines and a couple of woodbines and coming up here to see an old person? They're lonely and they can do with a bit of crack and do with a smoke and do with a little magazine or book to peruse through. The doorway of Margaret Boyle's Coombe Hospital. The hospital she founded out of the goodness of her heart. And it's wonderful to see the new Coombe Hospital standing in Cork Street today. But when are they going to change the name to the Margaret Boyle Memorial Hospital? And when are they going to repair the wrought iron work around Christ the King, standing in the middle of the artisan dwelling buildings? Now we have to give full marks to the man who designed and planned and had erected what's known today as Ash Grove. And this will show you what can be done all over the city of Dublin. We met a very nice family, the Wards, Tony and his wife Margaret, who showed us over their home, which was a little palace. And we wish them and their children and their grandchildren many happy years here in Ash Grove in the Liberties. Mead Street is a great shopping area. On a Saturday is market day and it's always alive and teeming with people.
I am a roving sportsman blade, they call me Jack of all trades. I always found my chief delight in courting pretty fair maids. For when in Dublin I arrived to try for a situation, I always heard them say it was the pride of all the nation. I'm a roving Jack of many a trade, and every trade of all trades. And if you wish to know my name, they call me Jack of all trades.
In Bagot Street I drove a cab and there was well requited. In Francis Street had lodging beds to entertain all strangers.
For Dublin is of my renown, nor I am much mistaken. In Kevin Street I do declare some butter, eggs and bacon.
St. Catherine's Mead Street, dedicated to the Virgin Martyr, Catherine, the patroness of Christian philosophers. The foundation stone of that church was laid on the 30th of June, 1852. If you look closely at Cooper's shop, you'll see the remains of the granite block archway, which was once the gateway to a Quaker chapel in the Liberties. The Sick Poor Institution and Liberty Crèche, and in the middle of it, a savings bank. That's funny, but this was the spot where the Indian meal was distributed to the poor of Dublin during the famine. We come out of Mead Street into my favourite street of Dublin, Thomas Street, teeming with history of patriots and markets and doctors and churches and communities.
Beautiful potty operated radio.
How much is the pan?
Tuppence to you.
Oh, thanks, I'll take it.
There's a beautiful set of pans there, set of tray.
How are you doing?
$2.50 for the set of tray.
In High Street I sold Dojery. In Patrick Street sold all bits. So if you wish to know my name.
Yeah,
Not take parsley.
nice flavour of it. Where's the time?
There's a lot for 10 for you.
Yeah.
Do you know I've only got a £10 note?
Yeah, I'll pay for it for you. You're getting a bargain.
If you wish to know my name, they call me Jack of all trades.
St John's outside Newgate, known to Dubliners as John's Lane. It was on this site in the year 1188 that the first hospital in Ireland was established by a man named Aelred le Palmer, who with his wife had gone on pilgrimage to the Holy Land in Jerusalem, came back and were very impressed by the new hospital of St John. Many years married and no family, he said to the wife, "I'm thinking of taking holy orders and becoming a priest." "Well, if you do," says she, "I'll take holy orders and become a nun." "Good," says he, "we'll found a hospital." "A hospital?" "Yes," says he, "what rule will we follow?" "There's only one rule, the rule of St Augustine." And this was one of the foundation stones of the Augustinian fathers. The church you see today was built by the Fenians, who are all bricklayers and labourers on the job. They even say that the pagan O'Leary was the clerk of works. The statues on top of the building were sculptured by Padraig Pearse's father, and the remains of Aelred and his wife and all their followers lie in the city sawmills, which was the old graveyard of the old church of St John outside Newgate in Dublin. The medical profession throughout the world knows the term Corrigan's Pulse. Well, this was the house that Dr. John Dominic Corrigan was born in on the 2nd of December 1802. The sounds and smells at Thomas Street are always wonderful, and of course nothing will beat the smell of Caesar's pork butchers. I think it must be all them seasoning spices and lovely porks and hams.
60 pence here. 60 pence. That'd be all right.
I don't even want to take the time. That's why I asked you. There's the day.
Thank you very much.
Oh, the hard man, Mr. Caesar. Not bad. How's it cutting?
Oh, grand.
How do you like all that nice weather after all the rain?
Bring up the spuds.
It will indeed. Yeah. That's one thing about Dublin, it'll never be short of water.
No, not at all, no.
Yeah, good to Mr. Gray.
Yes.
Do you know what I was thinking? I was thinking here the other day, I remember I used to come in here with the old ma.
Yeah.
With the old ring of white pudding and the ring of black. The old Christmas boxes, a ring of white, a ring of black and a pound of sausages.
Yes.
And then I was thinking of all the pork butchers, the Caesars, the Steens, the Stumps, the Yorksteaders, the Hafners, the Farnbots. These are all Germans.
Well, they came from Germany, yes. Well,
They came from Germany.
They must have been reading this up, wasn't they?
£1 and 5 Right to be.
How long are you here?
I'm here since 1900. I'm returning now. My father started the business.
Well, good luck to you anyway.
We missed the place. Just
You will.
missed around the Liberties.
Yes.
Liberty man.
So you're part of the Liberties.
Oh, yes. Part
Yeah,
of the
part and parcel.
around here, yes.
But Caesars has been part and parcel of Dublin for
78 years.
78 years.
Yes.
2 lifetimes.
That's right, yes.
How was Mrs. Hawley today?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
Not bad.
That's good.
The good weather in
Oh, thanks to you. About time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is indeed, yeah. You have the old black and white pudding
I have indeed.
and the Georgia Street melt organs.
I have, yes. How many do you want?
I'll give it two of them. Do it with the supper.
Yes, they go every Saturday, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's a long time to walk down Georgia Street eating them though.
Yeah, half an hour for dog.
Indeed, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, thank you, ma'am.
That's grand,
Thank you
thanks.
very much.
That's
indeed.
lovely.
Thank you very much.
All right, goodbye to you now. Good luck, Mr. Caesar. The cobblestones of Bridgefoot Street. It was called Dirty Lane years and years and years ago. Well, this is where all the characters of Dublin, this was their haunt. Across the road was Thompson's Bakery. And at the hot wall, where Dublin's came up against the wall, all the characters lined up there about Monday morning. Johnny Fortycoats, Hairy Lemon, Hairy Yank, Zoodlum, Bang Bang, and a host of others. Houdini, Specs, Shell Shock Joe, Dunlavin, Tumbler, the Prince of Denmark, and another fella who used to stand beside him telling everyone he was Hamlet. And in among them all was two women, poor old All Parcels and Nancy Needleballs. But here at the corner at Dirty Lane or Bridgefoot Street was the favourite stand of Johnny Fortycoats. And he stood there and his 40 coats on him and his 40 cans all around him. And the people of Dublin said that he had a face like Jesus Christ. I understand that Fortycoats is still going strong, but he's out with the Swanks out in the suburbs of Hyder's Cross. Along here we had, of course, the White Bull Inn and the Black Bull Inn. The Black Bull Inn was the place where all the pirates used to hang out, and the White Bull Inn was the meeting house of the United Irishmen in the time of Lord Edward Fitzgerald and Robert Emmet. The IAWS are on the site of Nicholas Murphy's house where Lord Edward Fitzgerald was arrested, and of course Nicholas Murphy's backyard went into Robert Emmet's Marshalsea Lane depot. The Church of St. Catherine in Thomas Street was the site where the first liberty of Dublin was established by King Henry II in the year 1172, the liberty of Thomas's Court and Dunor. It was on the roadway outside St. Catherine's Church that the gallows were erected, where Robert Emmet was hanged and beheaded on the 20th of September 1803. St. Catherine's Bakery in the Liberties. This is where I saw the first white loaf after the war. Do you remember the old black bread? Well, it was a big sign outside the window there. The white loaf is back, but the thing about it is, it never came back as white as it was prior to the war, even the present day. Give us 4 fresh loaves there, will you please? Do you remember the old pillowcase when you were the chiseler for bringing the bread? And you get the 4 fresh loaves. Give us 4 fresh loaves there, Catherine. There you are. They them all stuck together. That's handy. And into the pillowcase. See, the pillowcase was a great man for taking the bread. I tell you, give us one of them St. Catherine's sliced turnovers. Now, do you know what? We missed out a terrible lot when we were children. Because you see, there's a St. Catherine's sliced turnover. Probably the only place in Ireland you'd get a sliced turnover. And if we had been sent for them as kids, well, you'd be able to knock a slice off out of that and parcel it back up again and there's a 10 to 1 chance your mother wouldn't catch you. I'll take that as well off you. How much do I owe you?
170, please.
My God, bread is very dear. God be with the days you get all that for something's hating you low. You used to get a pillowcase of bread for £1 down at Kennedy's Bakery. And there was another shop in Meath Street where you got cheap bread as well.
27, 28, 30, 40.
All right, thanks, Catherine. Well, like I was saying, on the way home, you'd stop at an now window still like that for to take the liberty of having a pick at the old bread in the pillowcase. Now, up she go, and a nice look in to get a bit of the cat's lick. Now, there's a nice bit of the cat's lick there with a bit of crust and all in it. And sure, I know the mother could kill me when I get home, but nevertheless, you always go for the liberty of the pick of the bit of bread. I have plenty left to get me home since you called.
Whack for the tour,